Hey guys, so today I'm going to be talking about my journey as a digital nomad in Canggu, Bali. So I'm going to be going over the food and the living expenses, as well as where to stay, where to eat, and what are some of the things you can do for fun. And it's been actually like a month and a half since I got here, and I've made a ton of friends, learned a lot of things along the way. And right now I'm at this hostel called Draper Entrepreneurship House, and there's a really nice garden and a lot of cute cats, which I'll show you later. So let's just start off with my first initial impressions. When I first got here, I was at a party hostel called Lushy, and I hated it because I'm not really much of a party person at all. And everyone in my hostel just wanted to go out and party, which is definitely a huge thing that people do in Bali, more specifically in Canggu. But I came here to be a part of the digital nomad community and to work on my projects and to really expand and grow my freelance business as well. So a few days later, I moved to another hostel called Tribal, and that's where I met a lot of my friends that I still talk to today and hang out with. And that's where I got a lot of work done because there's a really nice work space, and every day there's a lot of people who are working there, and you can get food, drinks, everything you want there. So that's a really good place that I found because the rooms are nice, it's new, and all the food is really good as well. So I also found like people who were similar to me who wanted to focus on work, and that was really important because I realized the hostel that I'm at really shapes the vibe that I got of the city. So once I got here and I found this co-working space and I saw a lot of other digital nomads, I realized that I'm not the only one doing this, and I was able to meet a lot of friends, go on adventures. So another thing I want to mention is that there's quite a high turnover rate at hostels. So for example, at Tribal, there's always going to be new people coming in and out because there's a lot of people who are just traveling here for a few weeks. So you do want to find those long-term people if you're going to be staying for a long term. For example, this time I went back to Tribal a month later, there were barely any people that I knew anymore because everybody had already left or went to another country. So I would recommend meeting people, but as well as knowing like what type of group you want to make, whether that's long-term or short. So in terms of food, there's a lot of local waruns that you can go to, and these waruns are awesome because you can pick whatever food you want and you can just order it right away, and you can get as much food as you want for $5 a meal or even $3 a meal. And they're delicious and you get so much variety. So if you're looking for international food like Italian, Chinese, American, or French, then you can find all of that here as well in Canggu. And those are just a little bit more pricey than the local waruns, but you'll definitely be able to find almost every kind of food that you want. There's also a lot of bars where you can find live music, or just restaurants that have live music playing. So there's definitely a lot of music if you're looking for that as well. In terms of community, there's this app called Nomio that I found and was recommended to me by my friends, where there's basically daily meetups, and you can go on these meetups and meet people, and it's super easy to form your crowd, super easy to make new friends because there's basically a meetup happening every single day, whether that's co-working or whether that's going to an adventure at Nusa Penida, one of the closer islands in Bali, or whether that's just going to a restaurant, having a ladies' night, or having a co-working digital nomad meetup. All of that's available, and you can make your own meetup as well on Nomio. So I'll link that down below so you can check it out if you're on your way here. Not only is it super easy to make friends here with the international people who are traveling here as well as digital nomads, the locals here are also super friendly. They're always smiling, and I think it has something to do with the tradition here. So it's a specific type of Hinduism that they practice here, and apparently there's almost every day there's some sort of prayer or offering that they do. So they're holding very close to their tradition here, and I think that's why the energy here is so good, because there's so many temples and so many offerings that happen all the time. So the living expenses here, which is something you're probably wondering, it's actually only about $20 a night for accommodation, and food is about $5 to $10 a meal. So probably you can find yourself spending around $1,000 to $2,000 every month. And so it depends on whether you do a lot of activities, yoga classes, and all of that. If you spend a lot of money, maybe you will spend $2K a month, or if you're more of a budget traveler, I think you can get by around $1,000 a month, and that's $1,000 USD. I think the only downside to Bali is that the temperature can get really hot here, and that's something I'm not used to because I'm from Vancouver, Canada, and even though it's pretty good weather there, I'm not used to 35 degrees or 30 degrees weather all the time. To me, that's like a heat wave. So sometimes I find it way too hot, but you kind of like learn how to cope with it by drinking a lot of coconuts or going to co-working spaces that have AC. And that's something I would recommend that you look into, which is to get a place that has AC, because if you're not used to this temperature, then you definitely want to find a place that has some sort of AC or fan so you can cool yourself down. The thing about Canggu is that there's also a lot of yoga studios and wellness things happening, so you don't really have to leave the area if you're also looking for a balance of doing yoga or meditation or energy stuff. There's also really good yoga studios like Samadhi. You can also even take dance classes, for example at Just Dance Bali, which is where I go to take dance classes, and it's amazing. Dance classes are one of the things I missed most about being back home, because I used to take dance classes like once or twice a week, and that was what gave me a lot of energy. So now that I found that here in Bali, I don't miss it as much. And if you're into surfing, there's also a lot of good surf instructors that are teaching at a really affordable price. So you can get a surf lesson for about $30, and they take you out into the water and show you how to get started if it's your first time, or they can even teach you more advanced things. There's just so many instructors here who are locals who've been surfing for a really long time, who can show you a lot of the tips and tricks of how to get better. What I personally love a lot about Canggu is that there's just a lot of people that I can meet here, and the meetups that I went to have given me a lot of good opportunities, and I've met a lot of really interesting people, and that's something that I haven't been able to find as much in other places that I've been to. So Bali is like an amazing place to find new friends and to make new connections, because there's so many people and they're all so open. You don't find that kind of people everywhere. So overall, I would really recommend Canggu if you're really into a balance of work, surfing, fun, making friends. There's a lot of events, so much stuff going on. And sometimes the only downside is that you might need to take a break from all this stuff that's happening. So you might go to Ubud for a few days just to take a break, do some yoga, have some alone time. But other than that, I think the only downsides are the fact that it can get overwhelming with a lot of traffic. There's a lot of people here, a lot of movement, and the energy can get a little bit chaotic. And the other thing that might be a downside is the weather. So if you're okay with those two things and you want to meet a lot of people who are also digital nomading from all over the world, then I would really recommend Canggu, because I've been able to meet a ton of friends and learn a lot about the Balinese culture, and I just feel like I've grown a lot in terms of my own business and myself as a person. I feel like there's this energy that pushes me forward to learn and experience more things and to improve. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I'd be happy to share more about my experience.